This is everything. This is the entire plot. What was I freaking writing? So that's my big fear. Girl, you have control of your brain. I'm at 100 pages in my script. When you take some time off, you know, it's hard to get back into something, whether that's going to the gym, writing, whatever. The reason I need to finish my project is because it's a feature film script and I've made a short film based on it already. And when this short film is finished and when I start going to film festivals, I need to have a finished feature film script to show people who are interested. But yeah, I don't even know if I'm going to get into any film festivals. And if I get into anything, I don't know if anyone at those festivals will be interested in the script. But I need to be prepared because you never know. I'm about page like 80. So the ending, basically, the climax and the end is where I'm getting up to. So I think I need to be pretty disciplined with myself. I've been doing a lot of research though, which has been really useful because when I made that outline in my last video, I realized that I was going to need to learn a little bit more about the subject I'm writing about. I feel like when I'm really into the writing and the dialogue and like I'm really focused, I kind of start to lose track of what I intended and what my goal was. I think I'm more of like a pantser in that way than a plotter because I'll just start writing and then everything I wanted like in my outline just goes out of my brain, and I also forget like everything else I wrote earlier. Really what I should do is to not worry about that. Just write, finish it, go back, read the whole thing, and make notes on note cards and then edit. I tried to start reading this book, Wild West Village by Lola Kirk, because I thought the cover was really pretty and the blurb sounded really interesting. And then I started reading it and I was like, I can't read any more of these like books that glamorize wealth and fame at the cost of the main character's mental health. Like, no. Good morning. I have my pumpkin spice latte, which is actually really, really pumpkin-y, a little too pumpkin-y, but here we are. I have some work and writing updates. The work update is I had a big change at work that's like, it's like exciting, but it's also really sad. So I've been pretty bummed about that lately. I don't know, lately I've been kind of feeling like uninspired and like I don't want to write. Like a couple days ago I had my script out and I was reading it and just like, this, like I'm so sick of this. I've been working on this for months. I can't look at it anymore. And I was kind of feeling like that about everything, just like I'm just like going through the motions on everything. That like really hit me the other day when I was at my office. I was like, wow, it just feels like so, like every day is the same. And then this huge change happened and I'm like, well, I guess that's what I needed, even though it's sad. And I have been forcing myself to work on the script. I had been forcing myself to rewrite and work with that outline I made in the last video. All this like big change kind of got me thinking about the way that, I don't know, I kind of knew something like this would happen eventually. And then when it did, I didn't really expect myself to feel the way I did as a reaction. It didn't like make me think about my characters immediately or my writing, but when I sat down to work on the script and now I was like, okay, everything's pretty good. I was like, okay, let's write ahead. And I did that and I really tried to get in the mindset of the character. Like I had an idea in the outline of how this scene would go. Basically, the character gets really bad news. I was like, I don't really know what to write. So I just kind of started writing, like just thinking about what he would actually do and feel, knowing I can change it later. I don't know. It's not that I surprised myself. I don't think it was like anything amazing I wrote, but I think it fits. Like it feels very realistic. It feels like authentic, not just to the character, but also just like to that type of situation, because I feel like I'm going through something similar, even though there's an extra layer of betrayal. So he's like angry, but also just like kind of sad and I don't know, just like the shock, I guess, is kind of the main emotion, but just like the way that he's responding to things. I like it. That's my writing update, and I am now at, I don't know what that was. That was a drum roll, I guess. I'm now at the 100-page mark. I'm at 100 pages in my script, which is huge because I think it's going to be like 112, just judging where I am now. I know that I need to rewrite a big scene in that 110 pages, but that'll be a fun one because it's the climax and it's my most favorite scene. But last night I wrote kind of the external plot climax, which was really exciting and crazy and has a big twist moment in it. And then I wrote, of course, that other scene where he finds out that awful news. And in between those two scenes basically is the lesson moment and the climax. But basically I need to rewrite those two scenes, which will be really, really fun, and I love them. And then like write the ending, which will also be fun. I've written a lot of notes on the ending, and I'm excited about it. But I don't know, I've just been feeling like I can't type out the ending until everything else is done. So I'm getting closer. It's crazy. Seeing 100 pages, which is like, honestly, in an ideal world, the script would be 90 pages, but I just can't see that happening with all the dialogue that I've put in. Also, it's very, like, not Gilmore Girls-y, but it is, like, fast talking, kind of. Like, there's a lot of quick dialogue that I think will go by fast. So I think it's fine that it's, like, going to be 112, 120, maybe even, maybe 119. Last night, I fell asleep writing. So last night, I went to dinner with my friends, and I brought this little purse-sized notebook on the train. And then somehow I ended up writing the structure of the external climax, which I wasn't really sure how I was going to write. So I'm glad that I came up with kind of like a roadmap to see if I can write that. The script doesn't perfectly follow like Save the Cat. It does, like every beat's in there. It's just not in like the perfect order. I don't want to talk about structure anymore. I did that plenty in my last video, but I feel like the climax, I wrote it. I've written it many, many times over the course of me writing this story. Writing is really hard, but I was saying this climax, that is the narrative climax in every draft. It's been the same moment, like this, I've written this story, came up with this idea with this moment in mind. And I need to rewrite it for this draft because everything that happens in it doesn't really make sense. I think it'll get to the same, like, emotional points that I need it to. Oh, thank you for that. You have anything else to say? So that's what Tube Sock's thinking. It doesn't work as it is, so I have to rewrite it. I have quite a bit of writing to do today, and we're going to the movies tonight to go see Begonia, so I'm really excited about that. There's, like, other stuff I need to do today besides writing, so I'm kind of thinking I'll do hour-long writing sprints and then a half hour of other stuff. That could be 3 hours of writing and then 2 hours of chores. TubeSock, come on. I'm going to stay home and make a matcha at home because I'll save $7. If I'm truly feeling uninspired writing here, which last night I was getting like kind of frustrated and just rushing through stuff, then maybe I will switch up the scenery. But yeah, I think it's a good plan. Hour on, half hour off. So I'm going to try that and see how much I get done. I feel like I will blow through the hour and then 3 hours will go by and I'll be like, I was writing that whole time. All right, stop yapping now. I don't know if I like need to get into this more, but I'm truly not feeling that creative. So I think I have like less than 5 minutes left on the, yeah, 3 minutes left on the clock. I do kind of want to keep going because I haven't really written anything. I just rewrote an earlier scene and then edited another scene. I feel like I'm at a pretty good point to like start writing the rest, but I feel like very, I don't know, uninspired, I guess. I don't really feel like I want to write the rest. I think what I want to do is go back and read the whole thing from the beginning. I might be procrastinating because I could just dive into it. I should know all of this by now. But I feel just like brain fog and like I don't know what's going on. I don't really want to stop writing and take a break to do chores. You know, in my head I was saying that thinking like, oh, if I stop writing and take a break to do chores, I'll stop thinking about it. And I was like, girl, you have control of your brain. I know that there is so much dialogue I need to trim, but like I do not want to because I love it. But eventually I will be doing that. When someone else reads this and starts crossing out giant pieces of dialogue, I'll be sad, but I will definitely do that. That's the notes that I'm hoping to get. It's just like, oh, cut this, cut that. And that's it. Like, I hope that's obviously not gonna happen. All right, our hour is over. Why did I just hit repeat? It's kind of crazy how much I was able to squeeze in the first 40 pages. I'm pretty proud of that. But as I've read and heard in, I don't know who it was, I think it was Bill Burr. He said something like, I could write the first 2 acts of like a million movies, and then the 3rd act, got nothing. That's how I feel about this. The first 40 pages, amazing. Literally a midpoint on page 53. Come on, like that is tight. Then after that, who the freak knows what happens? That is what I have rewritten over and over again. Anyway, my camera's about to die, so I'm gonna go do a chore for at least 15 minutes. Yeah, I kind of blew past my alarm. I think I had set it for 4, and then I was like, okay, 4:15. I was writing. What was I freaking writing? Now I have brain fog. I wrote like the big ending basketball tournament scene, despite the fact that I know so little about basketball. I think I kind of overwrote it. I think I wrote way too much, especially for someone who doesn't know how to play basketball. Yeah. It was like a lot of research, and I kind of already had mapped out the scene I wanted to write. The writing for me right now, and I need to remember this for myself too, is not about the research, and it's not about knowing a ton about basketball and being able to write like a really authentic basketball game. It's about the emotional beats between the characters and trying to write those through this like sports action. And I literally had this experience making the short film version of the script where I had written like a basketball scene. I'd written literally that, like some emotional beats between the 2 characters through writing this like basketball game, this practice that they were having. And then when we got to rehearsal, working through those beats with the actors and my choreographer, who's James, we worked through what the action would be, and I was telling them, well, I don't know if this script actually makes sense, but this is what I want to happen. They figured it out, and we worked together to create the scene that we actually ended up filming. So I know that that is how it will go if I ever get to finish the script. So I feel like just having something on the page that makes sense and is coherent and isn't too long, but like fills in what I'm going to need is really all I need to do. I just want it to be really good and I want it to be perfect. So I think I spent like an hour and a half on that. I wrote 1 page. I spent an hour and a half writing 1 page. And I'm also kind of procrastinating rewriting the climax. But I do think that spending all that time in writing did help me figure out a lot. And I like what I've written. I feel like I really love writing the emotional scenes when I'm in like a really creative mood. You know, just writing like whatever on the page, putting crazy stuff and then editing it down later when I'm in the analytical mood, which I'm in today. I'm going to go do the dishes. So I really didn't get that much cleaning done. So the system kind of fell apart. Hi, welcome to my floor. I'm gonna have a treat. So, I'm doing this thing where if I am not writing, I'm cleaning the house. No scrolling, no watching Gilmore Girls unless I'm cleaning, which is proving to be not as great of a plan as I thought it would be to get me to write. However, it has been great to get me to clean. Now I'm cleaning out this drawer that I spilled powdered ginger in like several months ago and never cleaned out. The reason I'm frustrated, okay, I have to go back. So back 5 years ago, when I first got the general vague idea of something like this story, and I knew I wanted to write a movie, I wrote a first draft that I loved, and it was so much fun. And it took me a while to write that. I'm gonna say it took me a year or two to write the first draft. I can't remember. But once I finished writing it, I thought it was so much fun. It was like 2021 when I finished writing it. I got the idea in 2019. I wrote a bunch of random scenes of the two characters that all ended up changing by the time that I wrote the first draft. And I was just doing it for fun, of course. But when I actually wrote the first draft, that wasn't for fun. That was like I'm trying to write a good movie. It's very like The OC or One Tree Hill or Gilmore Girls or like a Netflix movie. It reminds me of like The Half of It, or what's another like teen Netflix movie, like To All the Boys I Loved Before. Like very cheesy, kind of goofy, but sweet, very dramatic and over the top, very high school teen movie. I think it's good enough as a movie, but I don't think that the themes and the things I really want to say with these characters, I don't think it was like respectful to that. So I abandoned that project and I came up with like a new structure, and that took me a while. I think I like took a year off, and then by 2022, like 2021, I don't think I wrote much at all. And then 2022, I feel like is when I was starting to just write it a little bit more. 2023, I also had a really hard time writing. But I know that by 2024, I had a new draft. So I'm going to say that there definitely was a draft in between the high school version and the like next step up that was a college story. I did another draft that I finished in 2024. It was okay. I sent it to Coverfly for notes, and I gave it to my friend Kim for notes. And that's when we made the proof of concept based on that draft. And then I wrote a new draft that Christmas that I never finished, but I had a new structure. So this is literally last year. So I finished that like outline, and then I tried to write a new draft, and I kept changing the outline. And now I have written a completely new outline. It's 2025, and I've kind of spent all year working on trying to figure out what this new outline is. Like, it's been really hard because I've spent a lot of time writing and a lot of time on that this year. And now I feel like I just want to write it, but I still feel like I haven't cracked it yet. And I don't know, maybe this process could go on forever and I just need to stop. So basically that's my story of how I got here with this draft. I just feel very frustrated, but I also feel like I'm in a good place. Like I could do this forever, but I'm not going to. I don't want to. I want to be done. I think where I'm getting stuck is the character's motivation on not like a overall plot level, but like a scene to scene level. I need to really focus and get into the heads of my characters to really understand their motivations and what they're feeling and what they're thinking. And I feel like there's things that I want them to do that to lead me to like certain beats of the story I need to hit, but then I feel like I need to listen to them a little bit more because I feel like I'm not getting there. It's like, you know, when you watch something or you're reading a book or you're watching a movie and you're like, oh, that makes no sense for that character to act like that based on what just happened. Like, did the writers like forget? I'm really scared of that happening. So that's my big fear, is that my story doesn't make any sense. And then it feels like I'm just forcing these characters to do what I want because I want, you know, these big scenes to happen. So that fear has led me to a place of not writing and overthinking everything and being really confused and conflicted about what's going on in the story at any given moment. I basically need to calm down and even go over the whole thing scene to scene from the point of view of each character. I think that is going to be the thing that helps me. And then just write this scene immediately. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see.